Hey guys, I'm Prash. I'm a first year medical student at Newcastle and I'm from Singapore, and in a couple of months I'll be completing my first year here. So I'll be very honest, before coming to med school, I didn't plan on doing an audit, and forget that, I didn't even know what an audit was and I'd never heard of it. And I think that's a problem a lot of medical students face because there's not much education about research and audits and doing things out of your way, or like doing out of the box kind of research or thinking at med school at an early stage. And I was very lucky to have come across it while I was just Googling stuff on the internet. And that made me think about some questions that I myself had. But the problem was I didn't really have any research experience or clinical experience, and I didn't know anyone at any hospital, so I didn't know how to get started. So I think again I was really lucky because I came across an advert for an audit on the Facebook group of my surgical society at university, and I decided to sign up. And it was a steep learning curve for me because I'd never even been into a hospital before, and I had to learn how to use patient records, how to go through the system to find specific information, and it's a really complicated procedure. And it was really nerve-wracking initially, and it was really scary because I'd never been on a ward before, and people were looking at me because I looked out of place as a first-year medical student. But I think I was very lucky to have support from foundation doctors who were also linked with the same audit, who taught me over time how to use records, how to enter wards, look at files. And although it was a steep learning curve, the more time I spent in the hospital, I visited every once or twice a week, and sometimes I had to go in more than that. And I felt the more I went there, the less the more I got from it, because the more I understood and the more I was able to do myself. So I had a hospital placement along with my uni in my third or fourth month in university, and I noticed I was attached to the orthopedic surgery department, and I noticed that some surgeons opted to use some screws, like some specific screws, while other surgeons chose different ones. And although they had the same function, they were just two different grades, and that made me wonder why the surgeons weren't opting for the better grade, or a specific type of screw, and why there's no consensus on this. And at that time, I didn't know this was called an audit, and I just thought it was an interesting question that I had. But over time, when I found out about audits, and I thought, okay, maybe I can start with this. So I realized I didn't really know how to get about doing this audit. I didn't know who to approach. I didn't know what to do. And although I did some research on the internet, I realized it's really hard as a first year to do an audit because you just don't have the connections at the hospital. So I tried approaching people in the orthopedic surgery department at my local hospital, but they just said that they don't know anyone who did it in their first year, and they can't really offer me their time or their expertise with it. So it was a bit sad initially, but I found another way of doing it. I found an advert for a national initiative called StarSurge. So it's essentially medical students and foundation doctors all across the UK, 3,500 odd people working on the same topic in different hospitals across the UK. And I realized that this was a really interesting way and a really simple way of getting into an audit, because all I had to do was collect data at my local hospital and not be bothered about getting it published. And I was assured that at the end of the audit, I'd be published, and I would get a PubMed citation as well. So I thought that it's a really good way of getting a first-hand experience of what really an audit is. And although it's not the full experience, it's a good first step into moving into your clinical years when you're going to be doing audits or research. And yeah, thanks guys for watching this video, and as usual, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you have any questions about audits, feel free to hit me up on